times above the door. Now, to survive that, I don't know... Oh, I made it! Oh, amazing! Oh, I couldn't... when I was doing the test run, I could not make that jump for the life of me. Anyway, you can, if you leave the block in the middle, the other way to get out, if you don't do the secret way, is just, like, leave it in the middle and then just jump and run through at the right time and you'll be fine. But yeah, there you go. So that's that one. Very simple, easy to get there. We could place this in. Did I not push... Did that spider just disappear? Or is it still there, ready to maul me as soon as the cutscene ends? Ow. For that, you get a special death. Man, the adrenaline system, I don't know whether I like it as much in this game as I did on Anniversary. I really liked it on Anniversary, but on this one it's just a bit like, kind of off base a little bit every now and then. Because sometimes I feel like there's nothing you can do, literally nothing you can do that will get the cursor to their head in time before you land. And sometimes you'll shoot, but you'll be obstructed by something else anyway, and you just won't get like the critical shot, which kind of sucks. Anyway, last chair. Going to spin it around to that door. This one's a bit of a long, protracted climbing sequence, if I remember, to get across the top of, but we'll see. Oh no, is this the one with a slope? If that's the one with the slope, then it means I can get up. Yeah, okay, no, this isn't very long. We've already done the 2 long ones. Great, so we can come up here. All the same level, by the way, guys. What are we at the moment? An hour and 2 minutes in? What's the longest level we did before this? It was the first one, wasn't it? That was a pretty long level. The game feels like a totally different game to me at this point, especially after this next bit. It feels like a different game to the one where we were on the boat and everything was blown up. It does, I don't know. Maybe it shifted hands during development or something too much. Anyway, we come into this lovely dark room here, really dark. Lots of cobwebs and stuff around. But we can just crawl through here and grab this thing. Seems pretty simple, right? In fact, it is really simple. Yeah, this one's not even really a puzzle. That's it. There's a secret there. Lovely. Keep stocked on health packs as much as you can because you'll want them for the next area. There's that secret there. Honestly, I'm not sure how to get that, and I'm a little bit curious now. How are you supposed to get that? It's not like Underworld. It's not like Legend where you can just grapple them. So you can't do that. How are you supposed to get that? Oh, unless... Oh, that would be really cool. No, you can't... Yeah, maybe you could. That would be very, very interesting to do as a secret. Oh, no, you just jump. You just... you just run and jump. Wow, okay. Later on... Okay, this isn't too big of a spoiler. Later on, you get another artifact. Okay, obviously we're here for the belt. You get another artifact here that allows you to move the big objects again, like we were doing before. And I was just thinking, and you come back through the level when you complete the level. I was just thinking how cool it would be if, to get that secret, you had to get the artifact and then come all the way back here and move one of the like bits of the wall out once you gained the ability to. I think that would have been so cool. That would be like worthy of a relic, not just a secret though. But apparently no, you just jump. It looked like a massive jump though. Bit of a waste of adrenaline there, but whatever. Oh yes, I love like the splatter effect. So good. It's quite satisfying. Place it in, and we're almost done with this room. This would be like level 2 of the area. Suddenly getting very thirsty. Can deal with it. Water for the win. Oh man, everyone keeps eating so much fast food while I'm at work. We keep going to get fast food, and I'm not someone that usually drinks a lot of Coke and stuff. The gate, by the way, that has opened the gate here, as you've just noticed. I'm not someone who usually drinks a lot of like Coke and that, but because I've been there a few times lately, I've been having it, and now I'm like starting to get a craving for it, and it's kind of annoying because like I know that just didn't affect me at all. Like I never had that craving for sugar, but now I'm becoming like one of these people that's like, oh, I love Coke, I really need it. Like I didn't drink juice or anything, man. I just like water. But it's starting to affect me, and it's like, for God's sake. So I'm going to try and like cut down on the fast food. Anyway, so yeah, you press both pressure plates down. That's the last bit. As you might have guessed earlier on, to those very clever members of you watching, you can use the bike to weigh down the second one. We still have the bike with us. We still have the bike with us. Opens everything up. What I was talking about with the ridges is because the cogs on the side actually roll up the thrones. So you enter this room, and that section there in the middle isn't even slightly raised up. Like, not even a tiny little bit. But now we've like done all of this and affected all this. I think it's really cool. I just really like the design of this room. Very cool. Going into all the little test chambers and that. And as you might guess, we're going to get back on the bike. Again, a bit unintuitive. I don't know why. I expect, you know, we're in a team. Why the fuck are we driving around on a bike? Anyway, so this would be like level 3. We get to drive in even deeper. I don't even know why they have us bring the bike in this far down. I really don't, because it doesn't mean anything for the gameplay at all. It really doesn't. So anyway, this would be level 3. It's shorter here. But this is like the depths. This is when we're in the Nordic ruin. Somebody left a comment that was like, Norse is just the language or something. I can't quite remember. Oh, wait, hold on. We were supposed to ramp up that thing. I'm a fool. Speaking of rocks that you can move later, this rock here you can actually move, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, so we're going to ramp up this thing. Yeah, someone was talking about, apparently it's not Norse. I'm using the wrong term there. It's like Nordic or, I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. You know, you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about crashing my bike into a brick wall because this thing handles like a bitch. There we go. Up we go. Thank you very much. Went out nice and deep in. Just noticed my microphone was nowhere near my mouth. So probably going to sound a lot louder all of a sudden. Climb off the bike. And there we go. There's an item on the floor here. Seems really weird, really kind of just tacked on. But we've got a head. If you remember way back, probably a couple of episodes ago now, we were at that lever. And there was a thing next to it that didn't have a head. Well, that's for that. But the problem is, we can't get back up there anymore because we just ramped over something. So we're still locked in anyway. But we have got the head now to open up that lever when we eventually get back up there. So just remember you picked that up. Very easy to forget that you acquired that thing. It's not significant how you get it or where you got it from at all, is it really? But yeah, so now we come down. And we're in a bit of a special place now.
The Midgard serpent Jormungandr that lies on the bottom of the ocean, encircling all the world. Coming of Ragnarok, Jormungandr thrashes beneath the sea, flooding the land and vomiting its deadly poison into the air. The final battle of the gods. Thor kills Jormungandr with his hammer, Mjolnir, but then he retreats only 9 steps before he succumbs to the serpent's venom.
And then they're all dead. Man, can you just imagine, right? Is something about water that always makes me think of this. Can you imagine how cool it actually would have been to have lived in a time where you actually believed that out in the oceans you were looking at, that there was actually a giant, massive beast that encircled the entire world down there? How scary and exciting and amazing the world must have been. Really. I mean, and like sea monsters and stuff, people believed in for such a long time because the oceans are just so huge and deep. And you know, even today we know more about the moon, they say, than the depths of the ocean. I'm sure I might have even said that in a video before because that's just such a striking fact to me. But it's crazy. There is a big part of me that kind of misses, is a bit annoyed that I kind of live in a time where I miss out on that. I'm so, you know, life is fucking sweet now for us, really, if you think about it, compared to anyone else a long time ago in the past. But there is kind of that magic that's just gone now, and maybe that's why I like these games, because it's like the magic is real.
All these ancient sites inspired underworld myths in later cultures, perhaps because they were all protected by the Walking Dead.
Yeah, so this is why they all believed that it was to do with the underworlds, because these thralls, these things, were around them all the time. So people were like, oh god, right, okay, this is where you go when you die. And myths and legends of, you know, their underworlds eventually were born from it, which I think is really cool. It makes sense. Anyway, so as you know, with thralls we have to stamp them. A bit of an odd mechanic-ish, I suppose. Press Y to stomp them. There's some interesting stuff that you can do around here. Generally, the thralls are very annoying, though. You'll hear a bling noise, bling, bling. Why is it giving me a secret noise here? This thing here can be moved around once you've got yourself the belt, which I'm not actually sure what you're supposed to do with it, to be honest. You must have to move it somewhere. It's probably got something to do with the relic. The relic, I can't really show you just yet. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. So anyway, this is like the final chamber of this room, of this level, sorry. So we've kind of had 3 massive sections. This is the last big section. Like I said, it's a long level. We're 1 hour 10 minutes in. Probably be at least 20 minutes before I get through this area. And this area is a bit annoying as well if you don't know exactly where you're going. But hey, you've got me to guide you through, so shouldn't be any problems there, should there? We'll kill these guys. These guys seem a lot easier to fight right now than they did before. Throw a grenade if you've got 2 or more of them. Honestly, it's just much easier. Well, if they stick remotely together, it is. Well, I suppose you can... Oh, Lara! Yeah, if you touch that stuff, as you might have guessed, it just kills you straight away. It's not an excuse to go swimming. Swimming, as well, by the way. Think of that for a second. We haven't been swimming for ages in the game. We haven't swam since... We haven't properly swam in a big open swimming area since level 1. And we've only swam a little bit at the start of Thailand and had our little boat there at the start of Thailand. Then we've been to Croft Manor, no swimming at all, and now we're here in Mexico, no swimming at all either. Like, not even in a tiny little pool every now and then. It's just not happened. So, yeah, bear that in mind. It is still a big part of Underworld. I think that might be a reason why level 1 feels like such a different game to me, because there's all that stuff going on. And the boat bit's so action-packed too. It's like the rest of this game's just quite subdued, which I like. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it makes it feel more like the originals. I keep banging on about the originals. I was just a fan of the originals. That's all. That's all it is, guys. I do love me the originals. You might eventually see me play the originals on the channel. I don't know. I don't know. I have too many ideas for things I want to do. Too many ideas. Like, here's another idea I've been thinking of doing that I actually think would be really cool, just as a renewable thing that you could do as a gaming channel in general. So recently, no, oh, you don't get back up. Oh man, that was close. So recently, I I saw online. I was on Reddit. I was browsing around, and I saw that there were these like comics, bits of like artwork that someone had been doing. So like they were usually split into 4 sections, but sometimes there were more than that, sometimes a bit less than that. But basically like very basic looking comics essentially that had been done by this artist, but they were all to do with games, except they didn't say exactly what game it was, and the characters weren't drawn in such a way that you'd immediately recognise who the characters were either, or what the locations were. And each comic would have quite a profound feel to it, if that makes any sense. So it was like they would just be moving in some way. So for example, one of the comics was it was like a guy sat in a house and he looked a bit lonely. Basically, this was just the general feel of it. It was like this guy that was a bit lonely. He'd been a hero. He'd saved the day and he'd saved the world, but now he was just kind of sat around his house with nothing to do. And you know, that's not a new thing to think about. You know, you probably think about that kind of thing all the time with games, like, oh, what does the hero do once the game's over? But this was done in such a way that it made you feel like really kind of bad for this character, and you didn't know who the character was because it's just the way it was drawn. And then like the final bit of the comic was he mentioned, I think he mentioned the character's name. He was like, but I've done all of this, I've saved the world, but life's shit basically, because I can't be with you. And then it was like Ares, and then suddenly you realise, if you played Final Fantasy VII, you realise, oh god, this is one of those characters from that game that had died during the game, and it was this kind of moment in the game, and yeah, you go off and save the world, but this character that basically, like, you could have, I suppose, in some way, like, fallen in love with or whatever. And then it was like, you'd look back on the comic and be like, oh right, wow, this is Cloud, and he's like super upset about that. And they're only short little comics, you know, they're not pretentious or claiming to be anything more, but it's just like these little things you could look at, and they were all about games and different characters in games, but they were all kind of profound in some way, or made you think about something in a different way, and it was really cool, like this little perspective. And in some ways it was kind of like really mini fan fiction about, you know, a certain game that this person had grown up with, and they were really cool. Anyway, you might even know what I was talking about. Some of them this guy animated, and I was watching that and looking at those for quite a while, and I was thinking, oh, that's really cool. And that must have had some kind of an effect on me. What, Lara? What? You're supposed to drop down there, Lara? Where the hell are we going to be now? Have I got to climb all the way back over that? Oh, I don't know where am I now? I think I do have to climb back up that. Ah, Lara, what the hell's that? Jesus. I'm so low on health kits as well. What's going on there? So anyway, I saw those, and they must have had some kind of an impact on me anyway. Anyway, fast forward. I've been doing this lore series, summary series thing, and like going back to what I was mentioning before, how I kind of want to tell a story. I want to tell the people the story. I want the story of Guild Wars to actually be a compelling or interesting experience that actually moves people, because the story it's just the execution of it is so bad in the game, because of the crappy cutscenes and loads of reasons, but basically it's bad. So that's kind of been interesting for me to be able to write these stories and stuff, and I've always enjoyed writing stories. I always loved creative fiction, and for a long time I actually just wanted to be like an author or whatever, and but never like really pursued it. There you go, Lara. See, she didn't even get hurt. How did you die there before? That's ridiculous. So anyway, that's something I've always wanted to do. I've wanted to tell stories. That's something about me. You've probably never really got that come across like on YouTube. I've never really made that apparent, but I really, that really does excite me and interest me. And you know, if I ever worked in game development, which is something that I think, you know, anyone who likes games has always considered, if I ever did, it would be as a writer. It really would. I'd want to tell a good story, and I often, you know, if you're walking someplace, you know, you've got 40, like when I used to work at the bakery, it would take me like 40 minutes to walk there, kind of thing. And I always used to just kind of get lost in my own head and think about all these different stories and stuff and plots for games and stuff like that. And that's always been what's really interested me. So anyway, I've been writing this lore summary series thing. I think one of these ideas, which by the way I'm not planning on doing, this whole rant started with me saying I've got too many ideas for stuff that I could never have the time to do. But one of the things I'd love to be doing with the channel is writing very similar to those comics, so like very mini little bits of fan fiction, essentially very small though, like 5 to 7 minutes or so, 7 max videos that would just like have a couple of images on the screen, kind of like those comics might have, kind of thing, just like an image to get people into it. But really it would be like a very small little audiobook or whatever, and it would just be me reading out a tiny short little story that I'd written about some part of a game, some weird insignificant moment in the game that no one had ever considered, and like gives them a bit of a different perspective about it and makes them think, huh, I never really considered that, or you know, some cool, what the hell happened there? So I'd write about Lara Croft diving into pools of water because the game's too buggy, and everyone would love it. It'd be incredible. No, so like Guild Wars, because I know so much about that story and because it's such an in-depth universe, I would find it really easy to write that kind of thing about. So, for example, one video that I'd love to write at some point, and it kind of defeats the purpose of me just telling you guys straight out, but whatever, would be like a story about 3 kings, and it would never truly establish, maybe at the end it might, but it would never really establish who these kings are. But it would be these 3 men that meet up and like have a conversation somewhere like out in the Shiver Peaks or something. I might not even define specifically where it is, but just you would just know it was something about Guild Wars, I suppose. And it would be like these 3 kings meeting up, and the story would just be some kind of interesting small story about Reza, Jadon and Adalbern meeting together for like the first time or something to discuss like terms on ending the Guild Wars or something, which would be a really cool little moment that I think would be really nice to write about. Like a weird thing, it's obviously like it's not canon and it never would be, but you could put a really cool little twist on it about, you know, you could make Jadon seem like this super like brave guy that was constantly overcompensating for things. Like maybe each of these kings had like a little escort with them, right? They had someone that was there to protect them during this meeting in case someone tried to betray the others. And maybe Jadon though didn't bring anyone with him because he thought he was some big shot and he was like, oh no, I don't need anyone. And then of course in the lore, Jadon like flees when the Char come to attack Kryter, and he leaves, and that'd be a cool little thing to put together while like watching this thing and be like, oh yeah, that's kind of interesting. I quite like that idea. And you know, you could take it even further. I was thinking about this one in particular last night. You could take it even further than that and be like, maybe it's not Adalbern that's the king that's going to meet. Maybe it's Baradin, because Baradin's going to be the king. Maybe it's the king before Baradin that's coming, and Baradin's joined him, or Adalbern perhaps is the bodyguard. Maybe Adalbern's the bodyguard. We know that Adalbern rose to become a king because I've suddenly lost where I'm supposed to be going. Hold on. I'm not going to fiddle around for too long here. I think we need to get on that pole, but there's no way you can make that jump. I know we definitely. Oh no, yeah, we can. We can't up this way. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so maybe Adalbern is the protector of the previous king, kind of thing, and then maybe it's got this kind of weird little thing about how that ended up happening. But it would never be anything really heavy. Nothing like that. It would just be a short little thing that just makes you think, huh. That's kind of cool. You know, another one as well, as I say, with Guild Wars, I'd know a lot. Yeah, another one that I thought would be quite cool is, we know, because I've been writing the summary series, I've been kind of back into a lot of the Prophecies lore recently, where I've been reading back up on it myself. And one of the cool things that I noticed was Saul D'Alessio, who obviously was the original preacher of the Messiah. He was the one that the Messiah had come to. He founded the White Mantle. You know, it was all about the Messiah and rejecting the old gods kind of thing. He, though, despite all of that, and the fact that the White Mantle don't believe in at the time the 5 true gods, he, for whatever reason, and it's just mentioned, it's never mentioned why, gave the people at the Temple of the Aegis, one of the most prominent places in Kryta, a temple to the actual 5 gods, he gave special edict for them to keep their temple and to continue worshipping. And he basically said, no, the White Mantle can never interfere here. So what could be a really cool little story would be just a small little thing, a scene of Saul D'Alessio when he goes there, when he actually issues this, when he says to these people, oh no, you can continue to worship here. And maybe we'd see it from within his own mind, and he's questioning, you know, he obviously doubts the Mersa. He's got some kind of doubt there about these gods, these people he's preaching about, and yet despite himself he continues to preach of them because he feels like maybe he owed something to them because they essentially saved his life and they stopped him being such a drunk and a layabout, and you know, he was delirious and stuff out in the forest, and he feels like he owes them. So now he's kind of got this, he's contesting this in his brain, and in the end maybe it's for this lack of faith in the Mersa in the first place, because he went off and continued to harbour these thoughts and feelings for the 5 true gods. Maybe that is why this bit, by the way, I got really stuck at earlier and I can't remember where I got out of it. I think you just jump up. Shit, how did I get up here? I got really stuck here earlier. I was a bit embarrassed about how long it took me because I was so stuck. That seems okay. See, but that's releasing the liquid again. Shit. I don't think we wanted to do that, guys. I don't think we wanted to do that. That's how we're supposed to leave. Oh, balls. That's not good. I'm going to kill myself. That's how we're supposed to leave. Don't worry about that. So anyway, maybe that is because of that doubt. That's why the Messiah ended up taking him away. And I'd never try and give my own answers with videos like that, ever. That wouldn't be what they're about. It wouldn't be fan fiction that's designed to explain all the mysteries and the lore and stuff. It would just be little tales and stories about it. And again, though, not just Guild Wars, necessarily. I wouldn't want to stick it with just Guild Wars. I think that would work really well on any gaming channel. Just little stories from any of your favourite games, maybe. Little moments that you thought about that maybe didn't play out as significantly in the game as maybe they should have been. You know, if you were ever disappointed by a moment in a game. Do we have to reopen this thing? I think we do. Shit. Thralls. Forgot about you guys. You know, anything like that. Like this artist of these comics obviously did. And I'm not saying, you know, it might sound a bit like I'm talking about him so much that I'd be wanting to copy that artist, but I just think it could work quite well in a little video thing. And that would be something I'd be interested in trying out and seeing what people thought of it, kind of thing. Just like as a fun little project to do every now and then. A really short little thing. It wouldn't have to be some super big, impressive thing or anything like that. It'd just be, you know, just venting some of that creative energy that I've always kind of had that never bloody used ever. I've never used it. This isn't creative. What I'm doing is not creative at all. It gets vaguely creative when I piss about with stuff in the editing. Like when I first played through Prophecies, just look at all that stuff I did, like, oh, when do I insert the Saul D'Alessio story, and we had, you know, that scene with the glint, and I kept that exact same scene in a few episodes later with the exact same commentary. I love playing around with narrative, man. I love it. I like films like Pulp Fiction and shit. Fucking brilliant. Love it. It was up here. This is where we needed to go. It wasn't just to get that thing. You can just make the jump over here. There we go. I don't know, maybe repeating that section somehow helped. You'll notice as you walk over there, the belt actually disappears, which is kind of weird, actually, in-game, like it's some kind of a pickup. But there you go. And that repowers your gauntlets, apparently. You don't get, like, triple the power from this, which is kind of weird. But Land of the Dead, journal entry unlocked. Did we unlock